Okay, so Hayom Yom, beginning month of Sivan, Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Okay, is a little quote from our predecessors. Quote, throw a stick into the air and it will fall back on its root. You can try that a little bit later, but it's true. You got a root on the bottom, it'll always come back root first. So, on that theme, root first. Our fathers, the Holy Rebbeim, bequeathed a boundless heritage to the first Hasidim, that their sons, children, and their daughters' children throughout the generations in whatever country and environment they may be in will have that root, which is the attraction of their inwardness of heart to the rock from which they were hewn. That is a what's the word? Bequeathed to all of us generation after generation. At times, this element is covered and concealed in a number of garbs. This then is the avodah of whoever desires life, to remove these coverings, to establish for himself periods for the study of Hasidus, and to conduct himself in the manner of the Hasidic community. And all it takes is moving the dirt away from the roots. Okay, lessons in Tanya. We're on the last parak. We're beginning parak doing Gimel, which is the Gan, the garden of the Tanya. Chapter 53, page 801. This is where we plant and harvest and take all the fruit from the garden. And it begins on page Ayin Daled in the Kuti Amorim. We've been talking about the Shekhinah, right? The Hashros, the resting of the Shekhinah, which the condensation of all of the spheres from Chochmah on down is in the sphere of Malchus. Malchus is a carrier for all those predecessor spheros. Malchus is the Shekhinah of each and every world. Now, when the first temple was extant down here below on planet Earth, in the Holy Land, in the Holy City, Sheboy Haya Ha'aron, and in the Beis HaMikdash was the Aron, and the Luchos, the Beis Kodesh Kodashim. The Luchos were in the Holy of Holies, the third level of Holy. There's Noshim, then there's the Holy, and then there's the Holy of Holies. So then, when that was occurring, the Shekhinah, the divine presence, Shehi Malchus of Atzilus, which the first instantiation of the divine presence in worlds was in the world of Atzilus, the highest world, Malchus of Atzilus. So that Malchus of Atzilus, Shehi Bechinis Gili Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which is a revelation of the Infinite One, blessed be He. And as we've learned earlier, as the worlds descend, that open revelation became more obscured. But in Olam Atzilus, as the Zohar says, Ihu v'garmehi chad, Ihi v'chayehi chad, He and all of the things that come from Him are one. So there was an open revelation of the Or Ein Sof in the Malchus of the world of Atzilus. Not was, there still is. And that was Shaira Umislabeshes Be'asora Hadibrus. And that revelation of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu was enclosed in the 10 utterances, which of course refers to Matan Torah, the Seres HaDibros. And there it was included, V'Yoser Oz, much, and was included there, that revelation of the Ein Sof as it's mislabish, enclosed in the Malchus of Atzilus, was there with a much greater power, Begili Rav, and a great revelation, the Otzim, and very strong, much yoiser, much greater, Megillah HaChelos Kodesh Kadoshim Shulamayla Ba'olim Esel Yoinim, in the upper worlds, and here the upper worlds refer to the spiritual worlds of Asiya and the spiritual world of Yetzirah. Right? So the Shekhinah, as we've learned earlier, is in every world, right? The Shekhinah is in the Malchus of each world. It's the Shekhinah of the world. But the revelation of Hashem, which is in the Shekhinah, the Malchus of Atzilus, is a much really incomparable to the other worlds, because all the other worlds, predominantly what's there is the shading, the covering. In Atzilus, there's virtually no covering. So the lower worlds, even their Malchus, their spiritual Malchus of that world, Yesira, Asiya, and Yetzira, is really a very dim glimpse of what's revealed in the world of Atzilus. And that world, which is called the Malchus of Atzilus, is mislabish, it's enclosed in the 10 utterances, as he says. He has sodas had dibros, because the 10 utterances of what we call in popular English the 10 commandments, the 10 utterances, and klalas ha-Torah, they contain the whole generality of the Torah, the 10 utterances at Matan Torah. They contain the klalas of the Torah kula, the entirety of the entire Torah. The nifka megav chokma elah, which is drawn from the level and directly from the level of chokma elah, from the highest level of God's wisdom, the la'ela, for how much higher me'alma diskalya than the revealed worlds down here below. And to engrave them, because these words are engraved, right, which itself is a key to their unique phenomenon. That they're not just, we didn't just get stuff written, we got stuff engraved on tablets. So to take these emanations of Malchus, which includes Chochmah and below of Atzilus, and deliver that down here on planet Earth in an engraved stone, Beluchas Avonim, Gashmim, for that to happen, this is not just a one step-by-step descent, because in the step-by-step descent, that essence gets obscured. In the luchos, the essence is there, engraved in them. And this is a total union of opposites. This is a davar behafuche, a thing and its opposite. The essence of Hashem should be present and engraved in this world, specifically in the luchos, in this physical world, in this physical temple. So that's not a descent from one level to another, in the orderly chain of descent of worlds ad olam hazeh hagashmi. This is called, in other language, dilug, jumping. Instead of just, the mashal is, if you want to get from one mountaintop to another, there's one where you can step by step go down and step by step go up, or you can jump across, dilug. And this is a manner of dilug. It's not the seder hafestalshalos. Yolam hazeh hagashmi, because this physical world, it conducts itself in the way godliness is enclosed in physicality. The luchos are different. They're not the enclosement in a manner of seder histalshalos, step by step, concealment after concealment of godliness, the way nature is. But the luchos are masa elakim. They're the open deed of God Himself. Hema, they are. Michtav elakim, and the writing is godly writing. In other words, it retains the quality of godliness that it gets from its origin way up above in the world of Atzilus. The Lamaylam HaTeva. So the Luchos express a Dover Behifuche, one thing and its opposite. It's a rock, which is the lowest of the low, right? It's the bottom of the physicality of this world, a rock, and it contains that which is higher than any step-by-step progression. So it's Lamayla Mehateva Shalom Hazeh. The luchos, the tablets, represent something which is much, much higher than any normal, ordinary occurrence in this world, in this physical world, Hagashmi. Hanishme Me'odes Shechina Sheichel Kadosh Kadoshim Yasi, and much more unordinary than the godliness which flows in a step-by-step manner in the normal descent of worlds. This was not what was going on in the Kodesh Kodashim. And from this Kodesh HaKodashim, in which is enclosed, we'll call it Atzmus, not exactly, but essence of God himself embedded in a rock down here, from there shown out into this physical world, the manifestation of Hashem, because, as we know, he's not going to say it on this page, but as we've learned earlier, the whole tachlis, the whole point of creation, is Olam Hazeh Hagashmi. And that's where Hashem wants to dwell. And he does it by manifesting his very essence in a complete leap, jumping over all levels, so to speak, into the luchos, which are resident in the Holy of Holies, and from there, the emanation of God essence broadcast, so to speak, out to the world. Shigam al into the entire world. Ella, bechinas chochma elo de atzilas. So it's not the ordinary descent of the Seder Histalshalas, rather the chochma elo of Atzilus, the supernal wisdom of Atzilus, Jehu klalas Torah, which is the whole generality of the Torah, which is God's will and wisdom embodied in a teaching, and here the essence of it embodied physically, like if you were making a movie, crash all the levels through and embedded in a rock, in the luchos. So this Torah should be Yud Hadibros, which the kernels of which is articulated, and kernels is not a bad mashal because a kernel is like a seed; it's a singular thing, but from it many, many other seeds will grow and many branches will come. So this klalas Torah, this generality of Torah, should be Yud Hadibros, which was given in the 10 utterances. Nislab sheba Malchus Atzilus, that's enclosed in Malchus of Atzilus and in Bria, in the higher worlds. This is distinguishing from earlier we said that the lower spiritual worlds of Asiya and Yetzirah are recipients of not of a pass-through, but of a step-by-step histalshalis, whereas this is a burst through, a derek dilug, a jump, so to speak, from the higher worlds of Atzilus and Bria. Levadim, just from there. It's not passing through the lower worlds. And these passages through, and these luchos down here below, they retain their quality in a revealed way. When you went into the Holy of Holies, well, we didn't, but the Kohen Gadol did. This was quite an experience, because there was a revelation of the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light, Shebaseichon, which was within the luchos, or directly given into the worlds. And this quality of revelation, which was in the Kodesh Kodashim, and in this physical world specifically, is called the Shekhinah, as it dwells in the Holy of Holies in the first temple. Al Yedei, through the process of being hislapshusa, of being invested in the Beis Adibros, in the Beyud B'dibros, in the 10 utterances, Chakoikes Beluchos, which are engraved in the luchos. And again, this theme is elaborated upon a lot in Hasidus. It's not written, it's engraved. Right? Really, I mean, what's the difference? Something written you can wash off. You can wash off. It may leave a trace or a stain, but you can wash off what's there. Luchos are there; they become part of the stone. So in Kabbalah, in Hasidic speech, God's essence has become part of this world in a way that's way different than any revelation of God in the higher worlds. It's a much deeper and more, you have to say, miraculous, because this is the union of opposites, the essence of God in a physical stone. In the Aron, in the Holy of Holies.
Benes
Umasa Elokim Hayam. It's totally miraculous. Totally miraculous. And it's the deed of who can do such a thing? Only the living God. Alma Discasia, and he says he's the living God, but in the parlance of Kabbalah, the living God is the presence of the hidden worlds. Hamakanin ba'olam habriya, which nest, which gather this presence of the hidden worlds in the world of Bria, kanoida, as is known to those who know the Chochmah and the Storas, that the revelation of Hashem essence, as it is in the upper worlds, Atzilus and Bria, came plunged right through into the rock and the engravement of the Ten Commandments in the stone, in the Luchos, which were in the Aron, in the Holy of Holies, in the Beis HaMikdash. Ma'aseh Elokim Hema, Nes. And that's the Torah Shelifanenu. That's the Torah which is in front of us, given to this world and not to any other world. Okay. Comments, questions? The gift that keeps on giving, because it's from and manifests and containing the essence itself, the Torah. Then we'll see you tomorrow.
I wanted to, maybe there's this one concept here. I don't know if I heard it right.
What?
All right, so it says that Or Ein Sof Sharasham Umelubeshes Baseres Hadibras. V'yeser says v'yeser os, far more intensely and with a greater revelation, Begiloi Rav V'atzim, Yoser, more than Guluyeh, Behichalos Kache HaKadashim, Ba'olamos Elyonim.
Yeah. Be'olos Elyonim refers to the upper worlds of the lower of the upper worlds. The upper worlds, that refers to the spiritual world of Asiya and the spiritual world of Yetzirah. And the Luchos contain the revelation of worlds which is much higher than they, which is the world of Bria and ultimately Atzilus.
Yeah, but it's not saying that the Luchos was left up there.
No.
It's saying that the Luchos, with its more intense revelation,
is down here specifically. That's the whole Chiddush here. It's a dilug, it's a jump. Atzilus jumps all the way down to Asiya Gashmi. That's the Torah. That's the whole Chiddush here of Matan Torah. Matan Torah, he gave something which is, in Midrash Rabbah, very first page of Midrash Rabbah Bereshis, describes in beautiful poetic terms what the Torah is to God. It's his baby. It's part and parcel of him, right? And he gives that the Chiddush of Matan Torah. He gives that. I don't know if that has any resonance with you, but that which is so close to him, so much a part of him, actually comes down retaining all of that quality of being close to and part of the innards of God himself in this physical world, Agashmi, and the matter and the muscle for that is engraved. It's engraved. His essence is engraved in stone down here below. That's not true in any of the intermediate worlds.
Yeah, and it's also, I think I also heard that the Luchos are not considered Gashmias. The Luchos are considered Michtav Elokim.
The writing is Michtav Elokim. The stone is a stone. But the writing, the Michtav is named. That's the miracle. That Elokim itself, those are the words we just quoted. That it's a nes, mamish a nes. Benes u'maisa Elokim.
Because the letters, they didn't have any physical existence. They were just went right through the stone. That's why
that's beautiful. That's a big way of understanding the Chiddush. They are the stone. Without the stone, there's no letters, right? When you engrave, you need the stone, right? And the stone now becomes a container. Well, not a container. A piece of paper could contain a word. It's an embodiment, an embodiment of essence of God in a physical thing. That's a big deal. Hashem can be embodied anywhere, can he? Yes. And no, of course, and no. But yes, in the Luchos.
So we might say that in the place of Hashem's greatness, Shama Tamotse and Vasaluta.
You got that. That's a famous one, right? Where will you find Hashem's greatness? Where he lowers himself. Yes, that's a beautiful, yes. Glad you caught that. That's talked about a lot because where's that from? Do you remember? Hashem She'ata Motzi, that's where you'll find his
I
greatness.
know it's connected to Tehillim.
Maybe
I don't remember.
Rashi. Maybe
Today is
Rashi.
Rosh Chodesh.
I don't remember.
Rabbi.
In Hallel, it says, that Hashem is up in the heavens, but at the same time, he is on the earth. And I think that the Yalkut Shimoni on Hallel brings this pasuk.
I don't know.
Because that's what it says.
But anyway, it's a good pasuk expression.
I want to know where in Midrash Rabbah it says it describes what the Torah means to Hashem. Are you able
on
to?
Page 1 and 2 of Midrash Rabbah.
Oh, right at the beginning. Oh, wow. Okay.
Right at the beginning.
Mika Hashem Elokeinu hamabihi lo shavas hamashpili leros b'shamayim u'ba'aretz.
But the expression where you will find
I'm saying I'd have to look it up, but I think the Yalkut Shimoni brings Chazal in connection with that verse in Hallel.
If you could look it up and post it, that would be nice. Just like because I would like to know. I don't know if anybody else would.
Yeah.
Pesha Rivka, your hands up still, or was?
Yes. No, I just want a brief note that what the Luchos represents to us basically is the combination of physical and spiritual, and that God is in the.
Yes, but you have to go one step further, not just spiritual, but essence, atzmos.
Okay, atzmos.
Yeah, which is
But the highest, right? The highest and the lowest.
Yeah, the highest and the lowest. The spiritual you got in the spiritual world of Asiya and Yetzirah and all that.
But not down here, not down in the lowest of the low.
Down here you get Atzmos Ein Sof in a rock.
And it's somewhat more, when you're talking about the Luchos here, it's somewhat more than we talked about at the end of Parak 51, where it's all connected, and so it's one inside the other, inside the other, inside the other, that leads you back up. But this is actually a physical, spiritual entity in this world.
Exactly. Hayenka, I think. You're up.
Yeah, thank you. I was wondering then, when the first set of Luchos were destroyed, if you had picked up pieces, was the writing gone?
Yeah. The second Luchos, was the stone was made by God, but the writing was done by Moshe. So if you pick pieces up of either one of those, now were we asking now, then did the divine presence leave? Did the essence of God go away? I don't know. But certainly, if you broke the Luchos, you break the writing, and you break the connection.
It's just interesting to think that they would be blank because.
Oh, you mean did the words disappear like that? Oh, I thought you meant the semantic, the meaning of the word would be disrupted. No, I don't know. I never heard anything like that the letters actually disappeared. No, I never heard that.
I same thing, like where'd the letters go? Because they were like suspended. They were suspended within it as well.
Somewhere like the summit was suspended. I mean, the Aleph, they were engraved. That was one of the miracles also, that the whole, stayed suspended in order to make a summit.
Break, what happens to them? Do they fall to the ground also?
They fall to the ground. Oh. But I never heard that if you took a stone, let's say, and it broke in the letter Aleph, that whole imprint of Aleph would just like evaporate back upward. No, I never heard that. Anyway, for the time being, and for hopefully forever, the words remain intact and engraved, as we learned back in our Yom Yom, right? The root engraved within us, and it never goes away. All we have to do is bring it to the fore. Emir Hashem, we will, as we continue this. Okay, we'll see you, Emir Hashem, tomorrow.